Vitreomacular traction?
Quite big vitreomacular traction, not adequate for vitreolysis, so I went for vitrectomy. You see the shining posterior face, the hyaloid face. I tried to aspirate the area where the vitreous was detached, but I couldn't create PVD over the disc. I tried several times with the vitrector, and then I used the dye, and I went with this new special shark skin Alcon's forceps. But again, it was very difficult to grab and to create a flap in order to initiate posterior vitreous detachment. Finally, I succeeded to do that, and then removed the vitreous all around, and then with this special amazing forceps, I grasp the ILM without harming the retina and create a nice ILM all around. This is my first use of these forceps last September, but I'm really impressed with the way that they grasp and hold the ILM and the membranes.
Comments from the panel?
Stratus, why didn't you leave the part of the ILM over the cyst? Because I saw that in the OCT it was very cystic. So you're not.
I did or I didn't?
I mean, why didn't you? You crossed that cyst with the ILM. Was there a need to go over the cyst, remove the ILM over the cyst?
I peeled the ILM over the cyst and then filled the eye with air in order to close any creation of macular hole.
Sometimes the vitreous membrane is quite taut, and also the ILM can be quite taut. I found that micro pick may be a good way to get started, because once you get a break on the surface, the rest seems to be easier, because otherwise that membrane is like a trampoline, you just can't get through with the forceps. The second comment is that with such a high traction at the fovea, I think Stratus did a beautiful job in the surgery, but in most of those cases, I try to do a foveal sparing peel, because you never quite know how adherent it is, and you can, at the table, create a macular hole. Although if you have intraoperative OCT, you can use that to guide you better, but I don't have that, so I tend to be more cautious.
Any other comments?
Following the new trends will be 27 gauge, perhaps the hypersonic cutter. This will be even more a very, very difficult step to create the PVD. And it will be very interesting to see how we'll find solutions, perhaps new instruments for that in the future.
So I think from the 2 points I think was interesting is, one is when you see that shiny reflex over the macula, it's almost impossible to grab it with the cutter. And one of the things I do is use an old instrument we used to use a lot, which is a bent MVR blade. Which is a great instrument, and it comes in 25 gauge. So, and I have a few of those. That's for one of those rare times I use it to get an edge. And then you just bend the tip of that MVR blade, and then because it's very sharp, all you need to do is to grab an opening. Once you have that opening, then the case is done. Then
is it to pinch it or goes back?
No, what do you do?
Once you try to pinch it, goes back.
Actually, what ends up happening is, because it's very sharp, it grasps it and makes a hole in it. And once you have that hole in, then you're done, basically. Then you can use, many times you continue to lift it with that MVR blade, or you can move with the cutter. So that is an instrument for these cases I think is very helpful. The other thing, going back to your comment and also Ehab's comment, one of the things that I pay extra attention with these kind of cases is that once you start lifting the hyaloid, I pay a lot more attention on the macula, not that much on the hyaloid. And one of the things I may do is just do a vitrectomy around the macula, leave that hyaloid alone, and do the lifting, do everything, and then go back and then stain. And then it depends how it looks. You know, sometimes everything's stuck at that center of the macula. Then I just trim it and leave it be, just to make sure. But I like your idea, Stratos, to put an air at the end. Because many times you don't really know. One of the things has become my experience is, if I don't really know, it usually is not a hole. Because if it is, you actually see it. But putting the air bubble just provide that additional protection just to make sure.